There's something that most human beings are afraid of. What they don't realize, the fear or the anxiety is the symptom. But at the root, there's some root fear. And if they don't deal with this root fear, a study was done by the National Institute of Mental Health, and it said that 31% of adults experience severe anxiety at some point in their life, and many of those have ongoing anxiety. A few years ago, I was driving down the road, and I saw this homeless guy. And this homeless guy was all drugged out. And as I saw him, as I was driving by, I felt this rush of anxiety go through my entire body. And so I'm like, that was unusual. And so as I kept driving, and then throughout the day, the thought kept popping in, and that visualization kept popping into my head. And every time it brought anxiety. And so the next day I woke up and I experienced more anxiety. And then thoughts of me going crazy started to enter my mind. And I'm like, man, this is unusual. So I kind of kept it inside. I didn't tell my wife, didn't tell anybody. And so as I'm progressing through the next couple days, the thoughts keep coming into my head of me losing everything, losing my house, losing the marriage, being on the street, like living in poverty, going crazy. And so, man, I'm dealing with this anxiety over and over and over again, and it's getting worse. And so I'm trying all the personal development stuff that I know. I'm really doing some deep stuff. Nothing is working to remove this anxiety. And I've never had anxiety before like this in my entire life. And so this anxiety just keeps coming. And so I'm about 30 days in, nothing's working. And finally, I'm sitting on the couch downstairs and I say, Lord, if I'm going to go crazy, then I'm just going to go crazy. There's nothing I can do to stop that. So I'm going to fully surrender to you, Lord. You know, you have my life in your hands. I'm giving this to you completely. I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to trust you. And if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And so I prayed that prayer, gave it to God, went to bed, and then woke up the next morning, opened my eyes, waiting for the rush of anxiety, and nothing happened. There was no anxiety. And so as I sat there, I'm like, man, what the heck happened? Like, what was that? And as I dug in, I realized that as a child that I had a root fear of going crazy. My mom used to take care of mentally ill patients, and I was afraid I would be like them. So I had this root fear of going crazy that was underneath the surface. And after working with thousands of men, I've found that there's so many guys that struggle with fear or anxiety, and what they don't realize, the fear or the anxiety is the symptom. But at the root, there's some root fear. There's something that most human beings are afraid of, whether it's afraid of dying, whether it's afraid of losing people's approval or love in their life, whether it's afraid of going crazy. There's some root fear that actually causes anxiety to bubble up from within. And if they don't deal with this root fear, they may struggle with anxiousness and anxiety their entire life.